Hey, it's Christopher Swan, and welcome to this week's episode of Living Your Journey. This podcast is where I chat with folks that have it figured out, their passions, career paths, their focus, kind of like following their North Star. Their story may change as they go, but that's just part of it because they know they're on their journey every day. Additional information about each episode, guest, and more can be found at accidentalinformation.com. So this week, I'm talking with Tina Zettel, an event cake designer and owner of Willow Tree Bakery in Sonoma County, California. And for the folks that don't know, that is in the heart of the California wine country. And regarding those types of cakes we're talking about, think those crazy themed cakes you see on those cooking shows and big elaborate wedding cakes. I'm talking crazy and big. So Tina and I discussed starting her business, how believing in herself was the key to success, what things help her stay creative and inspired in her cake world, and then some advice for others. There's also some real talk about a rough patch when she had to stop her business and what she did afterwards to get it back. I had a great time with Tina. The conversation was a ton of fun, but also she brought me cake. Okay, let's jump into it. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Hi, Christopher. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm so excited that you're here because I know this is great timing. Well, maybe not for you, but it's great timing for me because you just came off this giant amount of work.
Oh my God. What a weekend. It was a long ride, but I got to tell you, so worth it. Everything turned out great.
See, that is really good. And I know it was a ton of work, and why I'm excited about it is
30 hours in 2 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Gotta love cakes.
Nobody needs sleep.
What sleep?
I read this somewhere, like this company, it's built on dreams and coffee. You know, like that's kind of like...
Isn't it supposed to be rainbows?
Or adrenaline.
Or rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
So, but why I am excited about all that work is because I thought that this would be fresh and there's probably some good stories in there to talk about, what it was like, kind of going through that feast or famine sort of effort in a small business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ask me about the owl in a little bit, and I'll tell you a little bit about that one.
Absolutely. So Tina, you're an event cake designer and you also own Willow Tree Bakery.
Yes.
And of course, I've known you for years, so that's not new for me. We're definitely going to unpack your background so we can figure out like how you got to now, like what's your current world. So, because I think you have a really fascinating story around, starting out, what that looked like for you and the trials and tribulations. But before we do that, what I really want to talk about is kind of your current world. So could you describe, Willow Tree Bakery, what are you guys in the business of doing?
Well, I'm an independent cake artist and a pastry chef. So what an independent cake artist does is I don't have a residual brick and mortar. I take custom orders upon demand. So that's basically the stint of Willow Tree.
And what's the, then what kind of clients do you have? Like what's your standard client?
Mostly wedding. We do a lot of wedding cakes. We do a lot of custom event cakes. Like, you think birthdays and bar mitzvahs and things like that, but we step it up a notch. I don't know if you watched many Food Network challenges.
Sure.
I do that kind of work. So we do more of carving crazy designs as opposed to... We do some simple things like just your average birthday cake, but we really do. We're more tailor-made to the crazy, wacky, like anything that you can think of.
Sure. Like
outside the norm.
Like what? Give me an example of like, maybe not this weekend, don't spoil that yet, but like what are some of the crazy big cakes that you've made? Because I can think of like the food challenge and stuff. So are you talking like you make these big like Star Wars-y sort of...
Yes, Death Stars. And about a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago, we did a drunken Barbie cake.
That's awesome.
Basically, there's no holds barred on what we do.
Right. That's got to be exciting.
It is. We've made, it's hard to come to mind some of the things. There's just so many. Like I made a 3-dimensional dove that basically could feed like 50 people.
Wow. Are these usually for birthdays, or do you actually do wedding cakes that are like in these kind of crazy Star Wars-y sort of themes too.
Actually, now that you mention it, I just signed on a client for a Star Wars themed wedding cake. And it's going to look very elegant. A lot of people think Star Wars is elegant. Actually, it's going to be a monochromatic cake with flowers and your beautiful classic wedding design. And nestled into the flowers are going to be 3-dimensional starfighters and TIE fighters and the Death Star. She wants the ships, not anything else but the ships. And she wants them like looking like they're going to be hiding, waiting to go into battle.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the cakes I'm doing. I'm one of the most unique artists in town that will be doing things like this.
That.
We've got a Nightmare Before Christmas next month. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. We're so excited.
I would love that one.
In September, we're doing a inspiration to one of my favorite shows, Firefly.
Really?
So we're doing like Firefly cupcakes.
So funny.
For a wedding.
I just interviewed Tony Thuray as well. That we just had this whole conversation about Firefly too. So it seems to be this theme in my podcast here. Come to find out, and I know you don't know Tony, but you'll have to hear this on the podcast. He named his daughter after River Tam.
Oh my God.
So my new podcast is Brown Coats, clearly.
That's awesome. I'm thinking maybe I should be, since I'm so into sci-fi and fantasy and things, maybe I should start renaming my cakes.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about then. So you take orders, these made to order big specialty cakes as well, and you're not brick and mortar, and we're in the California wine country. So you mentioned a lot of brides. So is that a big world for you then? Like, is the wedding business, because being here in the wine country, Napa and Sonoma, is that a really big deal?
Yes, it is. It's a huge part of my world. We cover about 40 to 50 weddings a year on the average. It's amazing. The wedding world is so amazing. So,
and is that I'm just thinking about brides because, I'm not a bride, so I don't know this, but I see this on shows where
you look nice. Right? You could be a bride.
Thank you. Maybe not. What I see a lot is I hear things like Bridezilla and things like that.
I have been so lucky. I've talked to other vendors over the years, and some of my vendors, like caterers and photographers, they do not want to do weddings. I won't name names, but they shy away from the wedding scene, and they go, oh, no. And I'm like,
just demanding?
There's a lot of demand. For me, a wedding is amazing. I actually like weddings most of all because I bring the cake, I set it up, and I make people smile and cry in a good way. And for me, if I can make a bride or the mother of the bride or the groom, I don't think I've made the groom cry. Maybe that's a good thing. But it just gives me such pleasure. Now, Bridezillas, in the 12 years that I've been doing this business, I've probably had 5.
That's actually not very much.
No, it isn't. So I continue to keep loving my business because I have such amazing clients. Sonoma County is a wonderful place to have a business, to be honest. People are so wonderful to me. I've had...
Even for the folks because people travel, this is destination for weddings as well. Do you find that as well when people come into this area that you're still having really great customers or guests?
Amazing guests. I have a couple that are cops in New Jersey, and they are just so amazing. I love my destination.
Well, you would think too that people would be happy because it's supposed to be such a happy occasion. Of course, it's stressful. You touched on something that I want to. You just said, about making them happy and cry is, because what we haven't talked about is that why you're in this business or why cakes? Like why this for you?
Well, I've always wanted to be in the food business from when I was a little girl and I was watching my grandmother bake and cook, and we come from an Italian family. And so food is a big deal. It's a huge, big deal. And that's actually all I've known. My grandmother was a major baker. And so my grandmother was teaching me when I was 5. And then she started kind of influencing me to go into competition at 10.
Wait, was this though cakes or was this just baking?
It was baking, period.
Okay.
And then as I grew up, I used to look at cookbooks and just drool over the idea of making, not so much eating, but making them. And actually, Christopher, I remember when we were 15,
Wait a minute. No, there are no stories here. No stories about me. Okay.
No. I remember when we were 15, we attempted pizza together. Do you remember the pizza that looked like a nose?
Maybe. Only if it's a good story, I remember it.
And the cream puffs that we made.
I do remember that. Yes.
Okay. So you could say that you had a little bit of influence in continuing my cooking.
Sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's what that was, but sure. Yes. Well, I'm curious though, then, because this is, I definitely don't know this, was this, with your grandmother and this kind of influence, do you think it was like the influence of that you got interested in this, or you just kind of always been around it and kind of knew that you were interested in preparing food or creating something like that?
I never really thought of it that way. I'd have to say it was the influence in the beginning, and then just loving to feed people, to give people that pleasure of going, oh my gosh, this is so amazing and so good. And then I come from a background of artists. My whole family practically are artists, and I've always wanted to get into, and I always loved art. But the pen and paper thing didn't work for me. I always went back to food as my love. So as I got older, one day I decided to take a class in cake decorating. And within 3 months, I knew that this was what I was going to do. I picked up the spatula and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
Wait a minute here. Like I love this, but you jumped so far ahead.
No,
like,
tell me
about this class. Like, how'd you even you're enjoying the food and that kind of stuff and preparing that and the influence, but why take this class, and what was the class?
It was a local shop here in Sonoma County, and they gave classes for cake. But let me rewind. I'm terribly sorry. So I had kids.
Yeah.
And at a young age, and I was raising them. So I kind of put the food idea out of my mind because of the money that was involved in starting a catering company.
Well, especially when you have, young children at that point. So like,
exactly.
Money's out in the right.
Who has time? So I was about 20 when I had my first kiddo, and 21 for my second kiddo. And then I kind of put that whole catering idea out of my head. When I had my third, later in life, close to 30, I started thinking, well, what do I want to do? And it was, I'm good at party planning. So I decided to start looking at getting into event planning and actually being a wedding consultant. And during that process of looking into that and getting some education on wedding consulting, a class came up at our local Nancy's Fancies. It's a shop that's been here for like 30 years.
And what kind of shop are they?
They're a baking supply shop.
Okay.
So cake decorating, party plan, stuff like that.
Sure.
They were doing a cake class, a beginning one, and I thought, I've always wanted to learn how to ice a cake and to do a rose. So maybe with the party planning, I'll do this on the side. Maybe make it a little hobby.
Yeah.
So back in September 19th, 2004, I went to my first class.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love completely.
Yeah.
Just immediately. And by January of 2005, there was no going back for me. I knew that was something that I needed to do.
Was that cake specifically, or
yes.
just like, okay.
It was specifically cake.
Wow.
The art of it. I loved it. And I finally found something that would never get boring. There's always something new that you can learn with doing cakes.
Was that important for you? Like, were you intentionally thinking about that? Or it was just like, it just happened to be because, like it did just change and you were just enjoying that? Or were you like, I have to do something that's different all the time?
I have to do something that's different all the time because for me personally, when I start a new project, I go from the first basics to all of a sudden the last advanced base. It's like, okay, this is too easy. I got to do something a little bit more.
Like you like the challenge?
I love the challenge.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you even know that about yourself. I don't know if everybody knows, like what makes them tick everywhere. Like I think sometimes we get into jobs sometimes because we don't know those things. But we know some stuff and we're like, oh, I could do this. And you get there and you're like, but I don't really love it. I don't know why, but I don't love it.
Well, there's some pluses and minuses to liking a challenge, like 8 cakes in just 2 days.
Right.
Because as I was saying, I love a challenge to the point where it's a little crazy, I guess, time.
Yeah.
But that's what got me into this business.
Okay.
There is never an end game with designing of cakes. There's always more. There's always a step further. There's always a new technique. I've discovered just 5 techniques over the last month.
Wow.
That I've got to do that. My problem is time.
How do you, because you've been in the business for a while now. And
12 years.
You know a lot in this world, I would imagine. So how do you find these new techniques? I mean, like, for somebody who's seasoned like that, how do you keep going and be like, oh yeah, well, let me try this? Because is it that you have to try something new or that somebody tells you about something? Like, how do you find out about it?
Oh, there's several different ways. I'm really involved in my community with different vendors, and I have fellow cake artists in the community, and we kind of powwow. I still go back to Nancy's Fancies, and I have some. Really?
That's so great.
It is.
I love that.
It is. Actually, I've got quite a standing with them. They're quite amazing people there. Nancy Shipman isn't involved anymore, but I'm really involved with the owners now. But as I was saying, I found out some new techniques from some of the employees there who are also cake decorators and do it on the side. And then Pinterest. Pinterest is quite wonderful, but is quite evil too.
It's like a time suck, but it's so good.
I call it the black hole.
It is. I know. There's so many things I can design and build that I'll never do.
So basically at night after I'm done doing like the multitude of cakes, I'll sit and I'll look at multitude of cakes.
So is that where so obviously your community, and that's what's giving you like inspiration or new ideas as well? Do you actually learn like a technique there, or is it really just that, oh, look at that kind of cake that I could try, or what your market's like? Is it everything?
It's really everything.
That's good. What do we do without Pinterest beforehand? I mean, obviously we have
magazines.
Yeah. Exactly. We're looking everywhere, right? Finding your influence. Is there one particular, because I know we kind of skipped over even like from where you started to where you're at now, but I'm just curious on the road to getting to where you're at today or even now, is there anybody in the industry and maybe it's, Nancy's Fancies or others, but is there anybody that you look up to that kind of gives you the inspiration or the, hey, I want to be that person, or I'm looking at something? Yes.
In the very beginning, when I took that cake class, they weren't offering more after the 6 weeks were done, and I wanted to know more. So the first book that I ever read after I had taken that class, because I just started buying books and I kind of taught myself everything. And
I love that, actually.
I love being self-taught.
It's so great to take a class, but if you're self-taught too, it really shows that you have a drive. And I think there's magic there. Like if you want to do something enough, go for it.
Exactly. And it's great to make mistakes from that too. Actually, I've learned more from all my mistakes over the years than anything else.
That's a good lesson.
That's actually, I'm the queen of loving
your
the
mistakes.
Mistake. So
what's this book that you read?
Colette Peters.
Okay.
So I really identified with Colette Peters. She was an artist for Tiffany. And she took her design art and she started putting it on cake.
Wow.
And that's exactly where I was in my thought process. taking that design that you think in your head or that idea that you put on paper and making it completely edible. And that's what she did. And I ate up all of her books. I ate up all of her designs. And I think 3 to 4 months into doing cake, I did one of her cakes.
Really?
And that was the turning point for me. How can I do, after picking up a spatula in September to March, being able to do one of her designs?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, So I had a aha moment. Maybe this was
like something for you.
Exactly. Someone I looked up to, and I want to meet her one day. So say hi.
Absolutely. Well, didn't you meet once too? Because it makes me think he doesn't do cakes, but don't you have like this big crush on like Alton Brown as well? Like this.
What are you talking about? He's my boyfriend.
Does he know that?
Yes.
Isn't he married?
He kissed me. So I think that seals the deal. I made him a cake last year.
That's awesome.
I believe it was last year or the year before. I made him a cake,
Yeah.
and the man kissed me.
Oh.
And I thought that, okay, that was all right to have happen.
Does he inspire you as well?
Yes,
he
does.
Is that why you enjoy him?
The reason why he inspires me is because he talks science. He's all about the science of his food. And actually, I've always believed and I've always been fascinated with the science of food. And they say that cooking is an art and baking is a science. And it truly is. It's all about the science. That's why so many people have trouble baking from scratch. They don't want to deal with the scratch baking because so much can go wrong with just 1 to 2 tablespoons. You might not know this, Christopher, but that cake that you want to make with flour, sugar, milk, whatever,
Yep.
it will taste delicious if you have the right weight of components. And 2 tablespoons more of flour or sugar can completely ruin a recipe. It's just 2 tablespoons.
So you actually have both worlds then, because you have the science and then you get the creative art of what it's going to look like.
So that's why it's so much pleasure for me.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me happier than baking a new recipe and then converting it with the science and changing it to make your own.
Yeah. I can see that. And that turns into the challenge, right? Back to the thing that you like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I would love to know a little bit about, go through kind of that middle section where we stop like, okay, you had your aha moment. That's great. And then we know where we're at today. Has it always been like, hey, all lights are green, go ahead. It's all been smooth, through the business for you, like growing, or like, did you experience challenges? What was that story like from, having your aha moment to starting your own business?
Starting my own business, it's easy to have an aha moment in my head. My way of thinking, we have aha moments all the time.
But this was a big aha though, right?
It was
this
huge.
Was like
this was the big,
I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. Or, it didn't even come out like that when I first said it, because it more was like, wow, I could actually make this. I could actually maybe do this.
Oh, you mean like, oh, I could do this as a living,
Yes.
as a career. Ah, yeah.
Exactly. But then the fear factor came in. Can I really get away with doing something so fun as my business? Can I make this work? That was a challenge in itself. Actually getting through my fear of starting something like this and actually supporting my family from doing something absolutely amazing and fun.
Wow.
And that I can wake up every day and say, ooh, I get to go to work.
How long did the fear stick around? Like, was that?
What are you talking about? I'm still scared.
I mean, and truthfully, was that, because I know what you mean by like that.
It took a couple of years.
A couple of years is
because again, I've been doing this for 12 years. So you have to go back 12 years. We're different people. Every 7 years we change. So 12 years ago, I'm a different person than I was now. I didn't know what I was doing. I was flying by the seat of my art, basically my ability to be able to do this. Sure, I could bake a cake. Sure, I could make something really pretty, but can I make it to the next level and actually make a living and do this the right way? So the challenge was getting through that thought process. And it still can be a challenge occasionally. It's just not so prominent as it was back then.
Why does that still exist now? Because I mean, from the outside, I look at it and I think that you've been doing this for such a long time. You have a lot of skill. Clearly you have business. How does that creep in for you?
It's more like if you make a change. And right now we're looking at making some changes and adding some aspects to the business that is different than
like new products or something.
Exactly what I've been doing before. And we've actually been talking about this on the side, Chris. We're thinking about branching out into cookies also. Now I'm so ingrained in cakes, and I've been doing cakes for so long that the idea of adding another product, should I be doing this? Should I be? No, I'll just stick to cakes. I'm really great at cakes.
How do you get past that then? Because I think a lot of people probably get through that. Like I think about those things like, how do I do something? It's not a new product for me, but how do I get over that hurdle of should I, or is it even should I, or am I just afraid to do it? Actually,
that's a really great question. Chris.
I love that you keep calling me Chris, by the way. Where did that come from?
Sorry, Christopher. A long time ago.
I'm just saying.
Long time ago, he used to be Chris people. So
yeah, anyway. Like when I was 10. Oh, okay.
Sorry. Well, Christopher, actually, tell me that question again, because now I started thinking about your name.
Now I'm confused about my name. Just call me something else. So how do you, the question was really around, is it that should I be doing it? Or because I think sometimes for me, I might be like, maybe I'm just afraid to do it and I've disguised it as should I do it? So how do you get past the even going forward?
By talking to my peers in my business. So I've been talking to a lot of other cake people. I've been talking to a lot of vendors in the industry. I've been talking to people like you, getting your ideas about what you would like to see, and if that's even a possibility. And it actually makes me feel like, yeah, I can actually, I can see that happening. It almost sets up the vision for me about what tomorrow's supposed to be for my business. But still, there is that fear factor that I actually have to get through on my own.
So you just have to push through it. But I love that you just went and found out the answers. Like, right? Ask your community. You know what? It's something else that I think is really great about Cleo. I didn't know this before at all, but it sounds like in your, the cake or the bakery world or that community, that you guys are helping each other too. Like, it's not just, we're not going to share any secrets or maybe there's some of that, but it sounds really cool to. And
sweetie, I have a safe. I have a safe with the combination is very secret.
You mean of like secret things?
Yeah, secret things.
Secret recipes.
Yeah, and every cake artist and baker should have this.
So maybe you can sneak me one that's not so secret and I can stick it on the website. And crickets. So I think to some of that point, it's just, I love that there's a community there. I've heard this from others as well, that, talk to your community, get involved, and because they can help you with some of it. You don't have to do it on your own.
Actually, all joking aside, the artists and bakers that are in Sonoma County, we all agree as a whole that there's plenty of business out there for everyone. Everybody seems to like the idea of getting married. So we like that. And
right.
Apparently every year someone has a birthday. And there's a lot of people in Sonoma County.
Right.
So we kind of work together as a team. We try to bounce ideas off of each other. And really Sonoma County is all about working together in our community. So I'm really blessed to be a part of this community and working with other bakers and other vendors. It's not just bakers. We've got caterers and DJs and musicians and everything under the sun that has an opinion about basically the small business.
Sure.
And you can get information.
Yeah, that's so great. And I'm sure that would apply to other communities as well. I think the important thing is just get to know your people. Like, who are your people, and get to know them.
Exactly. and it's networking.
Yeah.
Because I know that I have a couple bakers that have been in business a whole lot longer than I have, that they have recommended other people to me because I'm an independent. So independent, let's break it down. So as an independent, you can either have a certain amount of things that you do and a lot of flexibility. I do everything. Like I can bake everything. We do any flavors. We come up with flavors. Our brides and our clients come up with flavors that we've never heard of before. And I will make them. That is independent. The high flexibility of being independent and being able to do anything. And so that's why some of the bakers in the area that are not as independent, they shoot people my way.
When they want something so unique.
That they want things that they just aren't going to be doing. And I do the same for them.
Which is perfect for you because, again, back to that challenge thing, right? You're like, oh, a flavor I've never heard of? I can do this for you. I don't know what that flavor is, but I'll make it up.
Yeah, we made a tequila cake.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want that.
Oh, it was delicious.
Was it good?
It was delicious.
Wait, if it tasted like a margarita, then I would like it.
We did a tequila cake. We did a margarita cake. We've done a lemon drop cake.
This is fascinating. So many fun flavors that you could do. That's so interesting. I love how creative all your work can be. Clearly, it sounds like you just love it because you're just so, I was going to say,
I love my
you're
job.
so baked into it. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. So, just going back to that one last question I had earlier too about like, was it smooth the whole time? Like, how did you grow your business? You had your aha, and then what was next for you? Did you just start making cakes and been like, I'm going to sell them online? What happened?
Well, I went from word of mouth in the very beginning. And I didn't price my cakes very well in the very beginning. So the first 5 years, it was more like a lot of word of mouth. We didn't have Yelp back then.
Oh, no.
Yelp is huge.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of the social media that we had back in 2005 to 2008.
Right. The dark years.
The dark years. No, you actually had to talk to people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And you actually had to get out there and work hard instead of just, Facebook.
Well, that's still hard work. It's just very done differently.
I know. I'm joking.
Of course.
But we did a lot of word of mouth. A lot of friends of friends of friends. We weren't as busy. And like I said, I didn't know how to price cakes. So that was probably a little bit of a challenge getting through.
Is that just a learning curve? Not knowing? It
was more than that. I loved what I was doing so much. I thought that it was a bad idea to price out cakes to people.
That's interesting.
So how can you charge people for doing something you absolutely love beyond anything else?
That's a giant lesson.
That was huge. And I had such guilt for even charging anybody $10, it seemed like.
Wow.
And I'd wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm having way too much fun. Oh my gosh, I should not be having this much fun.
Yeah.
And charging people. That's not right. Then in 2009, I had a life-altering change. I went through a divorce.
Okay. And
I stopped the business for a couple of years. And then it became just me and my youngest child. At that point, I had to sit down and I think we had this conversation. What are you going to do? Are you going to restart the business? Are you going to do this? Or are you going to go and just work for a bakery? And that was probably one of the harder decisions, even harder than when I first started, getting up the courage to start this business in the first place was so hard. Then I lost the business and then to restart it again.
Why was that so hard the second time there? I would almost think like, well, you already know some of the trials and what to do.
Oh, I had the background.
What's the stumbling block there then?
The stumbling block was my insecurities about being able to do it by myself. Because For a lot of years, I had a partner
Yeah.
to do it with. And all of a sudden, I was alone and I had my little one. She was 12, Willow. And it had to be more of, okay, you're going to be doing something so much fun that you love, but now you have to feed your little child. And you have to make sure that you make enough money to feed your child.
So you really have to price those cakes more than $10.
That was
Exaggeration, yes.
That was a little exaggerated there. But you had
But
to,
I get that.
I had to think,
Yeah.
okay, could I do this again? Could I do this by myself? And did I have what it takes to restart all over again? So I used to be Simply Yours Cakes by Design. We were ranked in 2007 as one of the top bakers in Sonoma County. Very proud of that. We were featured on an old show called Eye on the Bay.
Oh, yeah. That was a CBS show, I think, locally, right?
Right.
And what were they? They were like a review or something?
Yeah,
or?
they were a review for weddings and other event centers and other...
That's a big deal.
Oh, it was amazing. And it was a great opportunity. But Simply Yours was quite popular back in 2007. And we didn't need Yelp.
Now you do.
So, no, I'm very happy.
Everybody needs it.
Exactly. Everybody needs it. So when we restarted, we decided to do a different brand. We decided to go with Willow Tree Bakery. And I've got to say, it from the gate, it had amazing success. Not only my first bridal show after restarting, I was a little nervous. All of a sudden, within 2 hours, all the old vendors that were in my community, friends, things like that, they were just so excited to see us back in action.
I love that.
That within a month, I had a lot less fears about what I was doing.
Yeah. I just love this theme, this community and people, and like, you network, and I know this about you, just being friendly and whatnot. But it just sounds
friendly?
like, right? What?
You should see me when I don't have any butter and sugar in the fridge.
Get off the podcast. I love that though. You pushed yourself, and then people surrounded you with love and light.
I had such lovely support. Matter of fact, the first show that I did back in 2011 was the relaunch officially.
Okay.
I think, 2011, it was the relaunch. One of my first brides actually was at the show.
Really?
And she says, "Oh my gosh, Tina, you're back. I haven't been able to find you." And it was such a turning point. It was to see that happiness. And she has been so supportive. And it's not just her. Every bride that I've dealt with has been incredibly supportive. I will walk down the street and I will see brides and they will just be so happy. And I did that. And my passion for what I'm doing makes them feel happy.
What a great way to...
And that's what I thrive on to get through those challenges, actually. That's what helped get through the initial challenges of starting again. That one woman helped so much to get over another hurdle. And then another hurdle happened with vendors. And then another.
Yeah,
and then another.
Like normal things that come up, right?
Exactly. And it just kept pushing me to get through those beginning challenge. The first year was the beginning challenge.
So is that really just like the support from people and helping you? Like, was it that you believe in yourself more because you had that?
I do. I believe that was it too. The fact that it was not only my belief in myself, but others that believed in me too.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing. This job right here, creating these beautiful things, these beautiful edible pieces to make other people's events special. Their visions were coming to life. And that made them happy. And I love making my community happy. I love making my clients happy.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love my clients.
Well, and I'm sure they love that. You love that. Obviously having some great weddings. So, we talked earlier about things that inspire you and stuff. And I'm thinking about this. I wonder if it connects. If you were to like look back at, either Simply Yours or Willow Tree, any of this time, is there anything you wish you knew back then that you know now about starting a business or restarting it? Like, gosh, I wish somebody would have told me this.
That it was going to be hard. I would have liked to known some of the...
Like the reality of being hard?
Some of the reality. Yeah, because it's okay to hear that people like you and love your product, because the very first wedding show, we got a huge acknowledgement for what we were doing.
Yeah.
The cakes were beautiful. The flavors were wonderful. We were so excited that we did so well. We thought immediately everybody was going to want us. Mm-hmm. And really the reality is, after everybody goes home, they can forget. If you're not there, right there in their face all the time, they forget. So I kind of would have liked a little bit of like information about that.
Just like, meaning like, hey, there are going to be some slow periods, or that people may fade, or
exactly,
or it's not, don't think you're going to get everything overnight.
Exactly. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. You can be really great at what you do, and you could have all the knowledge that you read with research and everything else. But, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some hard life lessons, and it's you got to love what you do, and you have to keep on going forward.
Because of that surprise, do you think about that as like, because my question was around like, if I knew this, do you think that's helpful for people to know that I had a schedule, so they don't give up, like don't get stuck in the middle of it, because you're going to be surprised by things you don't know? If
you love what you're doing, keep moving forward.
Just keep doing it.
Exactly. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
It's the passion for what I love doing cakes. I love everything about it. But you have to keep moving forward, because there's going to be hard times. And those hard times, the reality is you have to make money for daily life. And there can be slow times. There can be 8 events in a weekend, like I had last weekend. Yeah. Or they could be 1 event. You just have to keep moving forward.
Is that, because my next, probably one of my last questions was going to be really around, if somebody was going to break into this business now, or into any small business, you could probably even think about that. I was going to say, like, what's one really solid piece of advice you would give them? Is there anything in addition to that of like... Research?
Check out your community. Look into what other people are doing in the field that you want to get into, and talk to them.
As in like you don't mean like competitors, or do you mean... Is it just so you're aware of like what you're getting in yourself into?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because even if you love something, there's going to be a lot of hard times. And during those hard times, you have to have the knowledge of what gets you through to the next awesome moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the next aha, if you will. That's what's helped me, talking to people, looking up what you're trying to do. That is so important. It's all about the research. Knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, I didn't have the knowledge. Second time around, I did. Mm-hmm. And now it's all about, the more I know, the better I can get to another aha moment and another aha moment. And it just helps.
I love that you talk about these aha moments. I think those are so wonderful when you have those, because it's like the light bulb comes on. And I speak for myself when I have those and I'm doing something in work. I think, it's another moment where I'm just loving what I do again. Is that what it's like for you? Or
yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it's like. It's like, oh yeah, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing, because I'm still excited. Mm-hmm. After 12 years, I'm still excited about everything. Like this weekend, I'm very tired, so bear with me, Christopher. I might sound a little bit I don't know. I don't want to call stupid.
No, it's just called hard work.
It's called hard work. And if you're doing something that you're passionate about, let's just be honest. It's hard work. Even if you're passionate about it, to get to the next level or the next day, you're going to have to work hard.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Dreams aren't easy.
I'm just a little tired. Yeah. Dreams aren't easy.
Lots of caffeine. Wait, would you say unicorns before?
Unicorns. But what you were saying, again, remind me about what you were saying, because I'm.
No, I think we were just talking about that advice, for others and the aha moments and still loving it. So it sounds like to me that you're still like, even if with a long weekend that was so intense I can't even imagine making that kind of cakes, especially because it is
can
not.
I.
Right? Did you really do it? But I think what I hear from that is like, it's just, you're still loving it.
I am. Matter of fact, today was my day off. I had a forced day off, and I just sat around, and believe it or not, after sitting around for a little bit, I started thinking, okay, so what can I do for next week that would be interesting with cake?
Another challenge.
And I started thinking of some more challenges and some more, actually, about the cookies. I was starting thinking of new things, and I started getting excited again.
Well, that's so good. And I love that you brought the cookies up too, because I wanted to wrap that up with just super excited. I hope that you do, like, not that you shouldn't not do cakes, but it'd be so fun if you did something like cookies or something like that, because then people outside of our county or outside of our area might be able to take advantage of that.
That's what we've been thinking.
And you're so creative, so that could be something very, very cool.
Go on. No, seriously.
Really,
go on.
Write a Yelp review. Let me know how it goes. Well, when do you think that we, no pressure at all, but like...
Sure, no problem.
But do you think, like, if you guys decide to go down that road, like, when you might think you might have another product out like that?
We're going to try and be doing this and ironing it out before wedding season officially hits.
Which is when?
Wedding season is hitting next month.
Oh, well, that's soon. Oh, that's exciting then.
We do have weddings this month.
Yeah.
But officially going crazy, like 6 to 10 weddings in a month, that starts next month.
Well, then we'll be excited to see if there are cookies or something else coming soon. Well, this has been so much fun. I do want to ask, for the folks that are listening, if they want to follow you along or see more of your cakes or your business, where online should they go?
Well, I have a website, willowtreesbakery.com. And I also am on Facebook.
Great. And is that, if they just like search Willow Tree, they'll find it, right? Perfect. And we'll add that to accidentalinformation.com as well.
Okay.
And I think you have a lot of fun cakes up there too. And maybe even some of the stuff you did this weekend, you'll put up there. So
exactly.
So folks can see it. Well, again, this has been so much fun. Thank you for going through all this. I know it has been a very long weekend.
Well, I appreciate you sticking by me through me being so tired. Hey. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on your show. I really love what you're doing.
Oh, good. Me too. I love all these stories that to me, this is such a wonderful gift. It's really, people have the most amazing passion and stories of, you can just tell people love what they're doing. And it brings me a lot of love just to hear it.
Well, every story is different. So you're probably just living it up right now.
I am. I'm eating it up.
Knowledge.
You guys inspire me to do so much more and inspire me to keep doing this show and, and come up with more shows and more ideas. So I love it.
Well, it's like I was saying, knowledge is power, and you're getting tons of knowledge from everybody else.
It's like my free class.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So much fun, and I'm feeling lucky Tina didn't tell any embarrassing stories about me. That could have gone sideways. I think it's so great that Tina talked about believing in herself and being part of her community. That's great advice for everyone. Also, restarting her business? Yikes. But I actually heard out of that was just don't give up. Okay, let Tina and I know what you think of the episode and add a comment on the Accidental Information Facebook page or tweet us at accidentalinfo using hashtag Living Your Journey. You can find out more about Tina, links to Willow Tree Bakery, as well as a view into our cake tasting and maybe some other surprises, all at accidentalinformation.com. If you like what you heard, I'd love it if you subscribe. I'd even love it more if you gave us a review in iTunes. Seriously, these are so great and really help us bring in guests and episodes every week. So let's get that number up and spread the word. Living Your Journey is available every Tuesday. Until next week.